Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and in today's video, I'm going to do an unboxing and first impressions of the Yealink IP T54W. Before we get into this review, big thanks to VOIP Supply who sent us this phone for free so that we could do an in-depth review. For those of you who are interested in more information about this phone or where you can get pricing on one or more, if you need special pricing for large deployment or business that has special particular needs, check out the link below this video to a link directly to VOIP's website where I'll link directly to the phone. So with no further ado, let's get into this unboxing and see what's in this Yealink box. Okay, so here we are, the Yealink Prime business phone, SIP T54W. Let's see what's in the box, you guys. We got a manual here, Yealink Prime business phone, SIP T54W. Quick start guide, version 84.11, English and Chinese, for those of you who may be watching who speak Chinese. Looks like it shows everything that's in the box. Quick guide on assembling the phone and connecting your handset. Looks like it's even got a quick guide on how to connect a call center style headset, a wired headset. Says it has optional USB. Oh, that's cool. We're going to definitely get into that. Connect it to your network and power, of course, and then starting your phone and whatnot. And then I guess the rest is all programming stuff, it looks like. Yeah, programming and how to set up this and how to do that and how to do basic things, I guess, like transfer calls and so on and so forth. So let's see what we got in here. This looks like the actual phone itself. Oh, she is a beauty. Now that is interesting, you guys. It's very different from most of the phones that I've reviewed, where the actual monitor itself is almost like suspended. That's really neato. We'll put this down and see what else is in the box, but we're going to take a closer look at that. Oh, what do we have going on here? There we go. Alright, looks like we got a Cat 6 cable. I will honestly say this is a much higher quality cable than the cables. I mean, just the feel of it, and even it's got, if you guys can see that close enough, I mean, most of these cables that come with these things are kind of like a, let me see if I can get that to the camera for you guys. Oh, let's just take the damn thing out of the bag. Most of the cables that I get with a lot of these phones, they tend to be, kind of cheap. Not the best, but not the worst. But, they give it to you in the box. But this one is actually really high quality. It feels really, really thick and sturdy. And it's even got these aluminum, if you guys can see that, it's got these aluminum protectors, kind of on the sides of the actual connector part. So pretty high quality cable in comparison to the standard ones that I usually get. Here is our connector for the handset, of course. Looks like we got our kickstand here. Yep. And last but not least, the second to most important piece from the phone itself, the actual handset to be able to make calls with. And as you can see, it's got Yealink's HD voice technology. Their little symbol that they use for their patented HD voice. So let's go ahead and put this thing together and then see what we got. Wow. Will you look at that, you guys? I gotta say, I have seen, sold, and done some reviews on some really nice phones, but this here is one sexy phone. This is actually nice. It's got me actually wanting one to use in the office. I know everybody's into this whole minimalist mode thing these days, less equipment, more desk space, but this thing has a really wide footprint. It stands up taller than most Polycoms. I like that. It stands up taller and it has a smaller footprint as far as depth is concerned, but it's very wide. It's got a very long from left to right footprint, and I really dig it. I really like that. It really has that legit office desk phone feel to it. This screen, you guys, is just something to behold. This is, I believe, it is a color screen. It is definitely a color screen. I believe it's also a touch screen. But we'll get more into that in a video that I'm going to do at a later time, where I'm going to actually hook this thing up to our voice over IP service in the office and do an in-depth review, pros and cons, float through the menus, and do some hardcore like review, do a hardcore review of this phone in depth. But I dig this. Just look at that, you guys. It's got 10 phone line capability. This is a great phone for people like smaller businesses that may only have like 1 to 6 people in the office, but they need visual call park so that they can see who's on the other phones, whether they're busy, whether they're off the phone, and whether they can take calls. Great screen that's got a decent amount of space on it to be able to have, you know, for example, on one side of the screen, your 5 lines for incoming and outgoing calls, or on the other side of the screen, your visual line appearance to be able to see who's on the phone and who's busy or who's not around the office. It's got your 4 function keys below the screen, which is pretty typical with all IP phones, Yealink, and Polycom, and Grandstream desk phones. I really, really like these buttons. You guys are going to laugh, but in this office, we get a lot of customers that either end up with Polycom. It's typically almost always Polycom or Yealink phones. Sometimes Grandstream and sometimes some other things. But the biggest complaint that I usually hear that people say about Polycom phones is they don't like how a lot of the Polycom phones have the rounded buttons that are indented. These buttons, it's like they kind of like call out to you. They're big, they're not rounded, they're just different. I like how they're different. I like how I won't accidentally press a corner, which seems to be common with the Polycoms. They're real big, so I get a lot of people that call me that they say, I'm a fast dialer. I need something that has very big, responsive buttons. If you're that person, this is it. I love the volume button here, where a lot of them have a thing where it's a plus and a minus and there's kind of a separated button. I love how this is one single button here. Love the big silver navigation pad, and I love how it's kind of offset to the left, whereas a lot of them, it's up at the top in the middle. I don't know that that really matters, but that's kind of neat. Everything else seems to be kind of in place, like your headset button, your mute, you're putting people on hold, you're checking voicemail. It's nice how it's all kind of in a little 6-key array here. As you can see here, this phone has Yealink's HD voice. Now, I want to be clear, and this is not to put down Yealink, because I own a Yealink phone, not this one, but I own a Yealink phone myself, and I love it. There is Yealink HD voice, and then there's Polycom HD voice. Both are great, but if you're somebody who is really huge on just that serious, like executive level, you know, speakerphone or conference phone level speaker quality, like HD voice, Polycom is the way to go. But again, I use Yealink, and I have no problems with their speakerphone or anything like that. Give you guys a good look there of the speakerphone. It's actually kind of nice. And of course the headset. Get a good look at that headset there. I like it. The chassis doesn't actually have the same solid feel, like the same solidity of a Polycom. I've mentioned this in some of my previous videos where I really like Yealink phones. Polycom is kind of like the Cadillac, whereas Yealink is kind of like maybe the Ford or the Toyota. Not a bad phone. Yealink phones, they just don't feel or seem as solid as some of the Polycoms and some of the Ciscos do. But nonetheless, I tend to feel like the Yealinks, where they lack in solidity or in a really solid or thick chassis, they make up for it in features, function, and also just a very pretty overall phone in comparison to what some of your other, you know, solid brands like a Cisco or a Polycom bring to the table. I absolutely love all these silver highlights, like the silver bezel here, and just the silver there, and the buttons are silver. Like, I'm sorry guys, like this is just absolutely a sexy phone. Now let's be real. getting back to what really matters, I wouldn't expect anybody out there in any business to buy this phone just based on how attractive it is. So let's get down to what this thing actually has and what it can and can't do. So as you can see, it has actually got a gigabit pass-through on it. One here for your internet. That's where you would plug a cable in that goes to your switch or your router to obviously give it internet so that you can connect to your voice over IP service provider. And then you've got a PC jack here, which you could have go out to a PC or to like a network printer or something like that. A very popular feature when you have a lot of people in an office that, you know, need phones on the desk and may not actually have a second cable for a dedicated phone. This phone also supports power over Ethernet. So even though there is a DC jack here for your power, you can actually just power the phone completely via this internet port here, not the PC port. You can power this phone completely with a PoE-enabled switch or router. I'm not actually sure what this lock thing is. As I mentioned before, we're going to do another video on this, which is going to be a full in-depth review, pros and cons of this phone. So I'll find out what this actually is and what it does or doesn't do. And then I'll report back on that. Just like with many of the newer phones at the time of this video, it's got a USB port. These are a great feature. What the USB port does is it gives you some options and availabilities for headsets and things like that. But one of the most important things that I'm starting to see that this does is you can actually charge your phone with this. So like if you're somebody who, you know, you're working in the office and you also want to charge like your iPhone or your Android, from what I understand, you can plug that into this if you've got a USB compatible adapter to do that. So you could quite literally charge your phone from this. Another thing that I'm pretty sure this does, but I'll find out for sure, and we'll cover it in our more in-depth review at a later date, is a lot of IP phones are coming with this USB port. What it allows for is for you to have an external device, like an external hard drive or a flash drive, hooked to this to actually store recordings, like actual recordings of phone calls and things like that. One of the other things I wanted to point out on this thing that you guys may or may not have caught is, notice it has a kickstand here, but it only has one level. Now, for those of you who have seen some of our other video reviews, unboxings, and whatnot, you know that many phones, they typically come with 1, 2, and sometimes 3 different levels where you can put a kickstand so that you can actually have the phone sit up at different angles like this, depending on, you know, how tall you may be, how low or how high your desk or your office chair may be, or just what you feel is a comfortable viewing angle of the phone. Again, as you can see, this only has one set level where you can put the kickstand. So you're probably wondering, what's the catch? I'll show you. So this is the first time that I have personally seen a phone that has an actual adjustable screen. The reason that the kickstand only has one level is because they figured, why have multiple slots when your screen can adjust like so? This is absolutely awesome because it means, let's say you're in your office by yourself, you've got it on the setting that you like, and then another day you've got a bunch of people sitting around your desk for a conference and you want to pull the phone closer so that they can see what's going on. You can adjust the screen so that everybody is kind of on the same page and can get a good viewing angle. So that explains why it doesn't have the a variation between kickstand slots of where you can put that. So that concludes my unboxing of the Yealink SIP T54W and first impressions. I gotta say, you guys, it's a really sexy phone, sleek design. I love the silver highlights, just the long rectangular design. The adjustable screen is absolutely cool, and more on the functional aspect, just the buttons are really nice. It just seems very ergonomic in comparison to your average Polycom and some of your Ciscos and whatnot. If you like this phone or are interested in more information about this phone, below this video again, I'm going to supply a link to where you can see more information and a price on this phone at VOIP Supply, who was gracious enough to give us this phone for review. If you don't already have voice over IP service and you're interested in what voice over IP service carriers, support this phone, give me a call. I represent all service providers in the United States. Prince Rich, your go-to guy for the best deals on business phone and internet service in the United States. I'll talk to you guys again in the next video.